Let's get this thing going by first talking about the building process in general. You know, when you set out to build an object, any object, you really need to first step back and think through what needs to be done. Believe me, a lot of time and effort can be saved by doing just a little pre-visualization. Now, by that I mean asking yourself a series of questions even before you pick up the mouse. It's the old plan your work and work your plan approach. Start by asking yourself, what's the best way to make the object I'm needing to build? In other words, what specific technique should you use? You know, there's a lot of different tools at your disposal. Wouldn't it make sense to start off using the right one? For example, if you're trying to cut a piece of wood, it doesn't make much sense to pull out the hammer, right? Not when you've got a saw that can be not just faster, but more efficient. Also ask yourself, how many pieces or parts the object should consist of? You know, many of the objects you'll make will actually start off as smaller little individual pieces that are then combined or glued together to form the final look. For example, if you wanted to make something that looked like the mouse you've got your hand on, I'll tell you, I don't know many commands that you can do that in one fell swoop. No, the mouse would be made of several smaller pieces that would then combine together to achieve the overall look of the mouse, right? The body, the buttons, the cord, all those would be made separately, then combined together. By the way, we'll be looking at many of those combining techniques a little bit later on in this title. What other things need to be considered before beginning? Issues like just how much detail your object is going to need. Objects, for an example, that your audience will never see up close certainly won't need as much detail as objects that will, right? Don't be putting as much time and effort into those faraway objects. You've got plenty of other things to keep you busy. And probably most important to consider is get your hands on some kind of visual references that you can use to build your model. If you're an artist, sketch something out. If you're not, see if you can at least get a picture or photograph to help you along. You got to know it's almost always easier to model something if you're not just flying by the seat of your pants, not having anything to refer to. You got to get your hands on some kind of visual reference. Any professional animator would tell you that. So I guess what I'm trying to get across is you got to think it through before you start making it. And not just how you're going to start the process, but just as important, how are you going to finish? You got to know exactly what you're planning on doing going in. That's the only way you'll be able to make something in the shortest amount of time and with the least amount of effort. Does that make sense? Let me tell you, if you're ever planning on making a living as an animator, never forget the old phrase, time is money. I can promise you, many individuals have turned animation into a hobby simply by not working smart and not being efficient. No boss is going to want that. Now, in our next video, we're going to take a look at where in the interface you'll find your modeling tools. Let's go ahead and get to that.